Kuminga's going to get this last look.
Uh-oh.
Top of the arc.
Wait a minute.
Crossover. With the right hand. Kuminga.
Kuminga, stop playing. Oh, my goodness. Oh, we got to see that again. Don't reach. That was it right there. And then he took off. Yakko.
We love a good call here on Takeline, and as sports fans in general, God, we love a walk-off, we love a game winner, and we love that excitement. That was our own Renee Montgomery, who is having a time, or had a time, I should say, at Summer League, aka the NBA's biggest networking event for people involved with the teams, involved in the media, covering the teams, friends of players, players themselves, coaches, people trying to be coaches, trying to be shooting coaches. It is a fun time. I missed it, but Renee, you got to go. How was it? Did you have a good time? It sounds like you had a great time. And what players stood out for you?
Oh, man, I had a great time. It was interesting because it was my first summer league. And just so people know, the WNBA also happens during the summer. So summer league is not something that we get to indulge in because we're usually in season. So I saw a lot of WNBA players there. Shouts to the Vegas Aces, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Angel McCarthy was there. And then on the NBA side, literally every superstar was there. It was really crazy. Like at games I called, Giannis was sitting courtside, D'Angelo Russell, Kawhi, Paul George, and then I left. But then LeBron James, Russell Westbrook were sitting courtside, Liz Cambage. So like you mentioned
So
it,
awesome.
it's a who's who event. So I
Yeah,
never
it
got
really
to experience that. And so I thought that was interesting. I will say that people probably may not know this about me, but I like don't leave the house much in a sense of like even if I'm at summer league, the chances of me hanging out with people there, just this is my saying it to everyone, I really don't do that. Just FYI. So I go to the gym and I come back to the hotel and I kind of like I work a lot, but I enjoy it. So I will say that I didn't have that type of fun festivities if people were wondering. I didn't even go see a show this time because for 4 of the days I was there, I was calling 2 games a day. So I don't know if people know, but
you
you
were
have
working.
to. Yeah, I was like working. So I enjoyed it though. And some players that stood out to me, I would say the 2-year players and the players that played for the G League Ignite team. You could clearly, like, and I know a lot of people when they watch college sports, they're like, oh man, he could start on any NBA team right now. But in Summer League, you really get to see the players coming in that were playing in college as opposed to the players that even skipped college and went to the NBA G League summer team, like the Ignite team, or the second-year players. There was a night and day difference. There was like no comparison. So what stood out to me was having 1 year of just being in the system, being with an NBA coaching staff. It's a night and day difference. That's what stood out to me. But what I mean, I know you was watching the games intently. Like, what stood out to you about Summer League?
Well, speaking of second-year players who have a year of top-level basketball under their belt, coming in and showing that they have internalized some of that. Obi Toppin of the New York Knicks, he had a shaky start to his rookie season, kind of came on at the end, provided some real punch off the bench in the postseason as well against the Hawks. But 31 points on 13 of 20 and a 93-87 loss to the Pistons with 9 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He's just, the cool thing about Summer League is you see players just kind of trying stuff that maybe they wouldn't get a chance to try in a game where it really matters, where, you're, as a younger player, you can have that shorter leash. If you take a wild 3 or try a certain move, you might get yanked. Here in Summer League, it's like, okay, let's see how polished this move that I've been working on really is. Let's see how good that catch and shoot from the corner really is. That's what's fun. When I, years ago, when I was writing for Grantland, Zach Lowe, who is, of course, an NBA analyst and pundit and on-camera person and writer at ESPN now, we were at the same place. And I was at Summer League just like, I was writing an article about international scouts, because just like there's the entire American basketball ecosystem, the WNBA and the NBA, or so many figures from those communities are there. there's a lot of international basketball professionals who come to Summer League because there's going to be a lot of players that don't make a roster, that don't make a G League roster.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at those players and thinking, how do I fill out my roster? How do I find these pros that maybe just missed out for whatever reason? And can I sign them? And then one of the things that I was working on that article, and one of the things Zach told me was like, look over there. There's I think it was like Pat Riley, and it was Pat Riley like sitting in the stands watching games. Like, you could go up to Pat Riley right now and talk to him. And like, look over there. There's Mike D'Antoni. He's like, this is what's so great about Summer League is all these people are here, and this is your chance to like network and just make connections with assistant coaches, with assistant trainers, with whoever, and just talk to people. This is how you build sources.
Yeah.
This is how you do that stuff. I was not good at that part of it, but that's what's fun about Summer League is just meeting people that work for teams that are like that, meeting the person who's like, yeah, in 10 years, I want to be a GM, but I'm right now,
Right.
I just put like towels in a basket. You know what I mean?
No, and to that point, Jason, so I'm literally, they call them runners. So I'm literally with my runner, and the runner is taking me from point A to point B because I got to get a COVID test. I got to get my credentials. I got to get the polos because we have to have our matching polos. So
Yes.
my runner, shouts to Jace. That's my guy. He was taking me all over the place. The very first day I got there, I like bump into Jerry West, like literally,
Wow.
like Jerry West. And I'm from West Virginia. And so that
Yes.
has a way bigger historical reverence to me because Jerry West, as we all know, is the NBA logo. But he's like the guy from West Virginia that became the NBA logo to me. So just to your point, like you can be like, it could be Pat Riley or it could even be Jerry West. They're just right there, like easily accessible. To me, it was almost like I was on air like, wow, Giannis is just making laps around the arena. Like, this is crazy. Like, and this is like Giannis Antetokounmpo, like just won the championship back from Greece with his brother, watching his other brother's game, you know, and it's just sitting right there. And if you're a fan of the NBA, you got to put on your bucket list NBA Summer League. You have to. It's just, you got to do it.
It's fun. I will say, especially that opening weekend, because it dies down a little bit during the week, but that opening weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is so fun. You have fans that come up from Colorado. You have fans that come over from Utah. You have a lot of Lakers fans, a lot of Suns fans. And it is just a really, really fun atmosphere. Really, really super fun atmosphere. And like you said, you know, you're there. Pat Riley is there. Jerry West is there. Any of these
LeBron
figures
James, Russell Westbrook.
Giannis, they're just there hanging out, and you can sit as close to them, closer than you would ever have imagined, and watch their reaction to these games. Not to mention, you get to see Cade Cunningham, #1 overall pick, current Pistons rookie, who has been impressive at Summer League. You can watch him from 40 feet away. Jalen Green, who might have the most swag of anybody in this rookie class. Not playing right now because of a hamstring injury, but has been really, really fun. Pretty electric. 53% of his threes he's hitting right now.
Jason, to that point, you know, Cade Cunningham, we know, is the #1 pick. Jalen Green is the #2 pick. And Jalen Green, as we know, played for the G League Ignite team. So he had that year of pro experience. You could even tell with those two players. And not to say that Cade Cunningham is not going to have a great rookie season. I'm just saying, from Summer League, watching X's and O's like I watch, you can clearly tell that Jalen Green had more comfortability on the court having been in the system 1 year. Like, talent aside, like, not saying that Jalen should have been the #1 pick, because Jalen has told us that Jalen should be the #1 pick.
Jalen believes it.
Jalen believes it, but I'm just saying, as far as comfortability, you can just see it on the court.
As a player, what is it like? Like, have you been in these kind of situations where you're playing either a scrimmage or on a team where there's just such a range of motivation? You have a lottery pick, like a top 3, top 5 lottery pick. You also have, a second or third year player who's working on, whatever their next level of personal craft is. And then you'll have a bunch of of players that are just trying to find a paycheck somewhere in the world in the basketball ecosystem. Like, as a player, how do you manage all that? Because, there's going to be a lot of incentive. That's the other thing with Summer League is there's a lot of incentive for some of these players to just be like, I got to shoot it every time I get it because I got to show whoever is here that I can do this. How do you resist that? How do you deal with that on the court? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, I talked about that, and it depends, Jason, in a sense of if you're going to the Cleveland Cavaliers, you might want to show that you can score, that you can carry the team, that you can basically do everything, and you have that luxury. But when you're going to a team like, let's say, a Golden State Warriors, where they're a very highly skilled team, their GM, Bob, came on there to talk about things that they were looking for. They're looking for people that can complement what they have. So the players really in Summer League, scouts don't care what you can do if it doesn't fit into their system, basically. So when you come in, like, that's how drafts work. Like, sometimes the number one draft pick, like, typically it's going to be your overall talent, like whoever the best player is. But the further down you go in the draft, the 6, 7, people want players that can fit into their system the best. And so Summer League is the same. So if you're a guy at Summer League, I saw some guys at Summer League, let's take Sacramento, who was the worst defensive team, not just this year in the history of the NBA. We know that.
Yes.
Sacramento was the worst, right? So then they go get Davion Mitchell, who is known to be just this harasser on defense. He was killing it. I called the Sacramento game. He might have scored 9 points, but what he did to the other team's offensive player, it was unbelievable. They could barely bring the ball up the court. They were turning over the ball. The opposing team that he played against had like 25 turnovers. That's the thought process. Sacramento needs defense. I'm a defensive guy. I'm about to turn up. So I think it's really what your team needs and how you're trying to fit.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Summer League is watching that kind of emerge. Just one more time talk about my Knicks because I watched every Summer League game. Miles Deuce McBride, like, I love to overreact to Summer League. Of course, a lot of this doesn't matter, but I'm out there watching Miles McBride like, is this guy Kawhi? Could he be Kawhi? Harassing the ball handler, just crashing the point of attack. He is everywhere in everybody's jersey, and he's making shots. It's fun. And of course, some of this is not going to materialize on the actual professional basketball court during the season, but it's so fun to watch stuff like this happen.
All right, so Jason, we got to send a shout out to someone, and not just any someone, a Husky someone who might have been having the greatest month of all time. That's WNBA superstar, champ, and former UConn stud, Breanna Stewart. She just led the U.S. women to a gold medal in the Tokyo Olympics.
Pretty good.
She was the MVP of the first inaugural Commissioner's Cup. I'll let you think about what I just said for a second, because by the way, as if, and I got to show up for the women, as if that wasn't enough, she just welcomed a baby girl into the world
beautiful.
on August 9th. Shouts to Ruby May. I can't think of a better way to start a month, a better way to start a summer, or a better way to just start a decade. She's been killing it, and I would be remiss not to mention, she's coming off of an Achilles injury, which is one of the hardest injuries to come back from in all of sports. That's Breanna Stewart. I'm just saying, Stewie out here doing some Stewie things, Jason, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Husky and bleed blue. She's killing it.
There's a beautiful article written by Kurt Streeter in the New York Times today, quotes Breanna saying, of the birth of her child, "It took my breath away, the most important moment of my life." What an incredible couple of weeks she is having. Really amazing. And I mean, there were moments during the Olympic run where it was just like, much like KD, to take away nothing from anybody, but maybe Breanna gets like 1.5 medals, or a medal at a sliver, a medal and a sliver.
Well, then Asia Wilson got to get about 2 of them things in, because boy, did she carry a load.
She carried a load. But I just can't imagine what an emotional high this must be. And really one of the greats that we have that we get to watch play, because she's everything. A real purely modern basketball player in every sense of the word. A big that can do everything, that can shoot, that could score however, that can move the ball. And then the added just can't, like, welcoming an actual human being into the world. I have a friend who is a doctor, is in her residency right now. She just did a residency on a Navajo reservation, and she doesn't want to talk. Like, it's like, so what are you guys up to? And I'm like, man, if I was delivering babies, I'd talk about it all the time. I'd be like, what'd you do today? You sent some emails? Oh yeah, I like brought 2 lives into the world. That's what I did.
Two whole humans. No, you're right.
Yeah.
That's a job flex. Like, if I brought life into this world,
yeah,
you can't really tell me anything at this point, because like, if they say, "Oh, how was your day?" It was Ruby May. Okay, that was my day. Ruby May, 6 pounds 7 ounces. How was your day? Like, oh, you answered some emails. You're right. That's a flex.
It's an unbelievable flex. It's like, yeah, I got a gold medal. Plus, there's another person on this planet that is here because my partner and I are raising this person. Like, it's just really amazing. Like, a real inspiration for people.
And then, not to mention that we talked about the Olympic gold. 5 days after winning a gold, she came to America. And I have to say that because, there's a time difference that when you're
big time difference.
You're in Tokyo, you're trying to adjust to their time difference as fast as possible because you want to perform at your highest level. Then fast forward, after you win your gold medal, 5 days after that, the WNBA Commissioner's Cup is happening. The first ever inaugural WNBA Commissioner's Cup. All the Olympians played in it. There were 3 of them that came straight from Tokyo to play in it on the Seattle Storm team. Just went ahead and won that as well. Each player claimed a $30,000 cash prize, which for the WNBA, that's a huge amount of money, bonus money. And then not only that, but Stewie went on to get her another $5K of milk money for her MVP award. We got babies now. We got diaper money. We need milk money. We need all of that. What Meek Mill say? Because my mama needs some milk money. My son needs some milk. They try to take but listen, Stewie is out here killing it, is the whole point of it. I mean, She won a title in the Russian league overseas, is one of the bigger leagues. She won a title there, got finals MVP there, won that EuroLeague championship, Final Four of the EuroLeague MVP, WNBA title, finals MVP. I'm just saying, like, Stewie is having a year, and it's beautiful because, like, coming off of an injury, Achilles injury. So have to give up. We do this. Had to give some snaps for Stewie out here because she really, Ruby May. And shouts to Marta Shy Guy, who is also a WNBA player that has retired now to raise her daughter, I'm sure. And shouts to her as well. That's Stewie's fiance. Yeah, just a beautiful story.
Let me ask you about the Commissioner's Cup, because obviously, like, this is a thing that is pretty prevalent in international soccer, the mid-season tournament. Yeah. It's something that the NBA has looked into creating to give teams that don't necessarily have a shot at an NBA title something else to play for. And I think a cash incentive, to me, is the easiest and most direct kind of motivator, because, like, who wouldn't want to go out for an extra paycheck, especially if you're looking at from an NBA's perspective, where they're always talking about cutting games. If you populate some of these rosters with G League guys who get a nice extra paycheck, do you like the midseason tournament? Like, does it feel normal to you? I would love to see it. There is the issue of games, and the fact that they're 82 already is a lot. So they need to figure out a way to stagger it so that you're not putting more stress on players. But in theory, I love the idea.
Yeah, I think for WNBA players and women's basketball players, for us, it's just normal. We play it in the WNBA every summer, and then we play overseas. Yep. And as you talked about, overseas, that's like a way of life. There's always cups. And honestly, that's some of your biggest money, because it's the presidents of your clubs overseas. It's like this rivalry. So they want to beat each other. So if you're playing for your team and your president, like, this has legit happened to me. I've been playing overseas in Russia, where there's a lot of money flowing. And one of our presidents has came into the locker room at halftime. I was like, we got to beat them. I'm giving $15,000 bonus right here on the spot if we come back and win. So on top of the bonus that we already had, the president will just come in there and throw some money up to try to get us to turn up and win the cup. So when you talk about cup time, that is money-making time in my mind, because it's that bragging rights that the presidents of your clubs want.
I love that.
So yeah, it's normal life to us. And to see it here in the WNBA, like the players for one game winning $30,000 when players for a full season could be making $60,000.
Yeah, it's
I
huge.
mean, that's a huge bonus.
Renee, just last week it was reported by Bill King of the Sports Business Journal that the NFL has decided to allow 6 sport book commercials per game on their game broadcasts. Also, some breaking news that came out today. Jay-Z and Philadelphia 76ers co-owner Michael Rubin are part of a group applying for an online sports betting license in New York, and a plan to form Fanatics Sportsbook is the name of the organization they're going to put together. We know the sentiment on betting has drastically changed over the last few years, and leagues are always looking for new revenue streams. From a sports perspective, though, as betting becomes more widespread, what effect does this have? Just on the players, on the coaches, on anybody? Because we were talking about this in the pre-pro. It was not that long ago. I want to say like 8-10 years ago, where you didn't talk about it. Like in professional sports circles, it was taboo to talk about gambling in any kind of way. And now it's just here. It's just here. It's in your face. It is part of the economic model. It's here.
Well, Jason, how much will it change it? See, this is the thing. It's kind of like name, image, and likeness is here now for athletes, right? In college. But we know that athletes was making money before name, image, and likeness. Some of them have gotten caught. It's been publicized. So we know that things were happening before people allowed it to be legal, let's say. So sports betting, you're right. For me as a player, even when I hear sports betting, like I cringe a little bit in the sense of like it's almost so taboo that I don't want no parts of it. I don't want no problems, because that as an athlete, you think like, oh no, I don't want to hear nothing about no betting. I don't want no trouble because you don't want to be the reason your team or anything. It's almost like a taboo, like you said, non-starter. Yeah. But now that sports is so easily reachable and it's right here in your lap, we already knew that there were things happening in sports involving betting, and we can always assume. It's almost like the tennis with the coaches. It's like, you're not supposed to coach from the sidelines, but we knew everybody was doing a little bit of coaching from the sidelines, so you allow it. I'm not saying that players would be ones that are going to be tipping games. I don't think it's going to get to that, because any player playing, there's this certain level of competitiveness that I just don't see that affecting the integrity of the game. Now, having said
having said
all of that, I do think that it's going to get very interesting when somebody's homie that lives with them is like, yo, what happened in shoot around today? And
so-and-so injured? Are they going to play? Like that kind of thing? Yeah.
And they start to take those little nuggets and they start to make some bets. And then they start to make bigger bets. And then maybe somebody reaches out to that friend and says, hey, I know you're connected to XYZ. Yep. What do you know about this team? And then that friend that you think you're just talking to casually on the couch, like, oh, man, so-and-so's not going to play because he hurt his ankle. So, nobody really knows that, but he's not playing. And so we're probably going to lose tonight. You could just say that to your friend casually, that says that to a sports betting person. And then your friend could be the connection to the bettor that is constantly giving them leads. Only reason I say that is because sports betting and integrity, it's like there's levels to it.
The friction is built into it. Like this is an activity that is in some way predicated on a bettor's knowledge of the sport, the information they have about the sport, their understanding of which players are good and which players play well on the road, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And with it being so accessible, you laid out a situation that I don't have any information, but I'm 100% sure that is happening on some level somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
So come on, where like either somebody, you're friends with a player or you're friends with an assistant coach who says something, oh, so-and-so may not play, they tweaked their hamstring in practice today. And maybe the lines the betting lines haven't reflected that reality yet. The news hasn't got out. And what would you do? I know what I would do. I would go immediately to FanDuel, right? That's what you would do. And so what does the NFL, what does MLB, what does the NBA, what does the W, the thing that I keep thinking about is how do they make sure that this activity doesn't rise to a level where it actually does
affect the game,
affect the honesty, the on the levelness of the actual competition. And I don't know that I trust the individual leagues to do that. Like, I think you need some sort of third party investigator that looks at betting lines, that looks at patterns in the way bets are placed, the way the lines move, and keeps an eye on that. Because I think the incentive for the actual leagues to be transparent about the stuff they find is just kind of not there. That's everything to that. Like, this is a nice revenue stream, okay? But
a nice revenue stream.
It's a nice revenue stream. But the authenticity of the competition is like the entire product, right? So if you have something from your nice revenue stream that threatens the entirety of your product, listen, you're not going to want to tell people about it. You're just not going to want to tell people about it.
Jason, you said a nice revenue stream. This is $1 billion
it's a real
business.
Nice revenue stream.
This is $1 billion business. So that's why, some people thought that sports betting would have never made it to this legal, transparent level. But anything that makes a lot of money, they're going to figure out a way to do it. Like, in sports betting, there was so much money being had that the leagues weren't getting. That, just so to your point, the leagues weren't getting in on any of this money when it first started happening. So now all the sports leagues are like, we want a part of the action too, in a sense of, now they can sell 18 spots across a full Sunday of games. That's roughly 30 or 40, like per every 30 or 40 minutes, they can sell a spot. Now you start to see the revenue coming in. And to that point, Jason, you're not going to stop your own pockets. Like, if you're starting to see...
No. No one's going to do that. No one's going to do that. No one. Come on.
No one's going to do that. So then you start to get to what you're talking about. Well, then who is actually going to police the sports betting? Right now, it's kind of like no one. And if you look at the NFL... The New York Giants, as far as sportsbook deals, they have DraftKings. The Jets have BetMGM. The Eagles have DraftKings and Fox Bet. Like, you go down the line, there's teams connected, and it's the same in the NBA. The Pacers have PointsBet and DraftKings. The WNBA just did a deal with PointsBet for the whole league. So you can just see it trending a certain way. Now, how far are we going to take it is the question, because no, I don't think that players are going to be missing shots on purpose. No one's doing that. But it could get interesting if a player knows that a line is 10 points and they just casually not hit that 11th point. That's interesting. Do I think that's going to happen? No. I think that's an extreme. But I do think the more and more money that starts to be on the line, that's when you start to see more and more activities. I'll just say that. And it could get tricky.
And listen, this is a great in terms of the economics for the sports league. This is a great business. This is essentially free money.
Yeah.
Like, you're taking a skim, you're taking a percentage of like bets that are placed, and it's legitimately free money that you don't have to do much with. Like, you're allowing access to these platforms. And that's really it. Like, this exists. It's been happening. It's an activity that people want to take part in. Gambling is not going to go away. It's been illegal in parts of the country for a long time. It's not stopped anybody from doing it. People aren't going to stop doing it. But man, it is still jarring when I think about like Pete Rose banned from baseball and Tim Donaghy and the speed with which he was ejected from professional basketball, and then nothing. So nobody else has been betting this whole time. There's been nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like, okay, somebody else needs to look at this in a way that ensures that everything is on the up and up. Because I don't think that players would necessarily out and out fix games, but they're not going to put the W like at risk. That said, if the game is locked up in the fourth quarter, feel like everything is in hand, you can tell the other team is not trying to close the gap anymore, and the difference between making the spread or not, or not making the spread is like missing a free throw, and a player knows about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's, and I don't know how you.
To your point, Jason. Like for instance, what if I'm your homie, right? And I'm like,
Right.
Jason, good luck tonight, but make sure y'all win by 10. That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying nothing else.
Like announcers, Al Michaels says it every time there's a football game,
So I'm just saying, like, what if I heard you? What if you're like, heard you, Renee?
Yeah.
And you don't, and then y'all you just casually won by 10. And what if you were up by 9, Jason, and it's like 3-2, and you shoot that just to see if you could get up by 10, just so you could, told you I'd get over by that, like those little things to where you're not even realizing it, but it's like you could have accidentally hit the spread because I told you, make sure you win by 10 for your girl. Like, Jason, make sure y'all get 10, and then you shoot that last shot to make it 11. It's like, oh, well, that's interesting. And what if your friend just every game was like, all right, bet you won't win by 15 next game.
Right.
Bet you won't, Jason. And then it just starts to be a thing where it's like, oh, man, we could beat them by 15. And there's so many levels to where I can see.
There's so many levels.
When money is involved, we've seen the best of things turn into the worst of things when money is involved.
For sure.
And I'm not saying that sports is going to be one of those things that goes sour, but I'm saying the more money that gets applied and the more pressure that gets applied, there needs to be some type of system, some policing, because this could get wild in a hurry.
Yeah, it's where the line is drawn to, because like the thing we just described, you can't go after that, and it's pointless to be like, because a friend had some information. When it grows more than that, where exactly do you say, okay, no more farther than this? You cannot do more than this. And that's
like, what if that friend joins a group chat that is a group chat full of bettors, let's say.
It's just them talking about that. Now, okay, now there's an issue. And that's the thing these leagues are going to have to deal with. It's time for Buzzer Beaters, where we talk about the stories we didn't cover in the show because of time. Renee, what do you have?
Okay, so mine is kind of a buzzer beater rant.
I love it.
Hear me out. So it was my son's birthday, August 15th.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Boop. And what he wanted to do was go to an escape room. So I'm like, oh, yes, I love it. So I was like, 10 of your friends, we throw them a little party at the escape room, pizza, cake, and then we go to escape the room. So they're in the room, and let me just do my proud mom thing here. All of his friends are in honors classes. They're very intellectual kids. So they had made up their minds that they didn't want to get any clues. And if people don't know what escape room is, you go in the room, you get all these hints, and they don't want any clues, right? And so they had to escape Alcatraz. Well, they're going through the process, and we get to the tape recorder. They don't even know how to, they've never seen one of these things that actually have an actual tape that you put in. You know how you can rewind, press play. So I'm in the room with them, and they're like, what is this device? And I'm like, stop playing, that's a tape recorder, right? Then they put a rotary phone in there, and the kids don't know what a typewriter was in there. The kids have no idea what this stuff is. And I was like, yo, y'all can't be serious. They're like, well, how can we hear the clues if we don't even know what this stuff is? So I'm laughing out loud at this point, because I'm like, they thought they were so smart not to get a clue and don't even know what a typewriter is, a rotary phone. They didn't even know how to twist it and make it come back around. It was entertaining to me. None to say the least. They did escape the room. They did have to use some clues. Shouts to his little crew, but I have to just say that it was a very interesting experience, that when I told them that I had done homework on a typewriter before, the way that they looked at me, Jason, I'm still uncomfortable with it. To me, it was like something about it didn't sit right with me, that when I said, yes, I've used a typewriter in real life, they looked like I was this ancient artifact. Like, they looked at me like, I don't know how to explain it, but I didn't like it. So I had to get that off of my chest. Shouts to my Boot for his birthday, Junior, but I don't like how his friends looked at me. So I had to just get that rant off of my chest. Those were not ancient artifacts. Those were things that we used, a rotary phone. I know how to use that.
Man.
They've never seen it before. They didn't even know how to put the tape in, Jason. But I digress.
I watched a TikTok video semi-recently that was just like showing Gen Z kids like a VHS machine and being like, what is this? What do you do with it?
Oh my gosh.
Just got no idea. And I was like, man, just dig the grave now. I'll lay down in it and just put the dirt over my face.
And I'm in there with you.
My buzzer beater is going to be White Lotus. The finale was this past Sunday on HBO Max. A really thought-provoking, funny, emotional show about how centered whiteness is in our culture, about the effect of privilege, about how people use their privilege without understanding it, about the kind of intersection of feeling like you are a woke person who understands the issues, but also enjoying the fruits of colonialism through the lens of a Hawaiian resort on land that was snatched from the locals. It was just like a show that is super thought-provoking, and that had a finale that I think frustrated a lot of people, because it was a lot of white people dump their problems on the staff and local people at this Hawaiian resort and then go back home as if nothing happened. And while that was a frustrating watch, it also rang true to me in very specific ways. And I think that, and it was a show worth thinking about and worth watching. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and stream it on HBO Max.
I'm tuned in.
That is it for us. Follow and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to Takeline Show on YouTube for exclusive video clips from this episode, plus my digital series, All Caps NBA, which airs every Friday. Check it out. Goodbye.